Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and I'm back with a bit of news. We've got a few news stories to get through, so let's just hit the intro and we'll get on with it. Right, I'm back. Just knock that off. I forgot it with a short intro, and I was trying to do other things at the same time. Right, here's the news. The first up, House of the Dragon showrunner talks, spoiler, in the finale, changes from George R.R. Martin's book and what to expect for Season 2. Yes, the House of the Dragon had the Season 1 finale on Sunday night. I did my review. You can have a look at it on my channel. Really enjoyed it. I gave the season overall a 10 out of 10. I gave the finale an 8.5 out of 10. Or possibly, I might push it to a 9. I don't know. But there you go. There's Matt Smith and Emma Darcy as Daemon Targaryen and Rhaenyra Targaryen, husband and wife, and also uncle and niece. Oh dear. Right. So anyway, this is on Variety. So as usual, all the links are in the description below. Don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, follow me on me social medias and all that stuff. Right, here we go. Spoiler alert, this story contains a discussion of several major plot developments for the Season 1 finale of HBO's House of the Dragon, currently streaming on HBO Max and, I don't know, is it Sky Atlantic in the UK? Which you can also see on, if you don't subscribe to Sky, I think Now TV, you can subscribe to them and see it on there. So if you haven't seen it, bugger off and come back after you've watched it. Right. Ever since Ned Stark, spoilers for Season 1 of Game of Thrones, ever since Ned Stark lost his head in the 9th ever episode of Game of Thrones, audiences have understood that death and tragedy spare no one in George R.R. Martin's unforgiving fantasy world of Westeros. The season finale of the Game of Thrones prequel series House of the Dragon again proved that to be true. By the way, just bear with me. I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't wait for Season 2 whenever that comes out. So I went and bought the bloody book, didn't I? And I thought, crikey, I'm getting on in years, and as you can see, I wear glasses. Look at the size of that print. It's tiny. It's tiny. I need a magnifying glass to read all that. And where is it? The events of House of the Dragon take place somewhere around there, well into the book. Anyway, so I'm going to have a read of that, because the book goes all the way back to Aegon the Conqueror and all those from hundreds of years before House of the Dragon. Right, where were we? Right, the season finale of the Game of Thrones prequel series House of the Dragon again proved that to be true, that people die. To wit, in the episode aptly named The Black Queen, pardon me. After Rhaenys, Eve Best informs Rhaenyra, I wish they'd change those names about, because he's amazing with names, is George R.R. Martin. But a lot of these Targaryens and Valerians have very similar names, and it does me head in. I get confused easily. Anyway, informs Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, that King Viserys, the amazing Paddy Considine, is dead, and Queen Alicent, Olivia Cook, and Otto Hightower, Rhys Ifans, have, I'm probably mispronouncing that, I know he's Welsh, have usurped her claim and placed Prince Aegon, Tom Gin-Carney, on the Iron Throne. The shock of the news leads Rhaenyra to miscarry a stillborn baby on her own with no aid. That was a heartbreaking scene. I was literally on the edge of my seat, and I was like lip quivering and, tearing up. It was very, very emotional. Later, her husband and uncle, Daemon, Matt Smith, abruptly chokes Rhaenyra when she mentions the Song of Ice and Fire, not realising Viserys never told Daemon of it, and Corlys Velaryon, Steve Toussaint, I don't know how you pronounce it, finally returns from his long naval battle among the Stepstones to proclaim his house allied with Rhaenyra and the Blacks in her effort to regain the Iron Throne from the Greens. I thought they were the Black and Red. I don't know. Most shockingly, Aemond Targaryen, Ewan Mitchell, was a lot like his relative Daemon. I mean, there's only... To get Aemond to Daemon, you've only got to take the D from the end and put it to the front. They're very similar, apart from Daemon hasn't got one eye. Well, he's got two, you know what I mean. He ain't got an eye missing. Anyway, most shockingly, Aemond Targaryen, Ewan Mitchell, taunts his nephew, Lucerys Luke Velaryon, Elliot Griho, Griholt, whatever, while on Dragonback amid a raging storm until Luke's dragon Arrax and Aemon's much larger dragon Vhagar go rogue and begin sniping at each other in defiance of their riders, leading to Vhagar eviscerating Arrax and young Luke with one bite. It was amazing. And people have been saying online about, why did they do that? If the dragons did it, it was nothing to do with the riders, because they were trying to say, why didn't Luke stop the dragon? They couldn't. They were passengers. Luke and Aemond were just passengers on the dragons at that point. They just had to hang on and hope for the best, because the dragons were fighting, no matter what they did. Anyway, in the following scene, unfolding in a single wordless take, news of her son's death pushes Rhaenyra away from her measured attempt to wrest back control of Westeros from the Greens and into all-out war. That conflict, known as the Dance of the Dragons, will consume the rest of the series, starting with Season 2, which co-creator and executive producer Ryan Condal, tells Variety will begin shooting in early 2023. As for whether Season 2 will also premiere next year, Condal says that's to be determined. Unlike Game of Thrones, Condal, who is now the sole showrunner after Miguel Sapochnik departed the series after Season 1 finished production, has the benefit of knowing precisely how Martin intended this saga to end. It all comes from Martin's 2018 book, Fire and Blood. That book. See... I am so sage, because I can read, just about. But also, unlike Game of Thrones, Fire and Blood is written as a history book, drawn from sometimes conflicting accounts by maesters who have, as Condal ruefully notes, their own agendas. That has given Condal and his... Is it Condal or Condal? I don't know, I'll say Condal. And his writing team license at times to veer far afield from how events were recorded, so to speak, in Fire and Blood, a conceit Condal uses a few times over in The Black Queen. He spoke to Variety from his London home about those changes, how the season finale pays off threads laid down at the very start of the show, what led to Daemon lashing out against Rhaenyra, and whether we should expect to see Cregan Stark and Daeron Targaryen in future seasons. Also, hardcore fans and TikTokers, please note, Condal pronounces those names as Cregan and Daeron. All right. See, I said Daeron, didn't I? Oh, no, I did say Daeron, didn't I? Cregan. Yeah, that's how I pronounced it. I did say Cregan. I might have said Cregan, mine. But it's Cregan and Daeron. Does it really matter? I mean, I suppose it does to them, but they're fictional characters. Did you always know that Luke's death was how you were going to end the season? Yes. No messing about there. You didn't explore any other endings. Maybe at some point, but no, I look back at the original Bible that I wrote for the series back in May of 2019, and that was in there as the end point. It just felt like the 1-2 punch of Viserys dying, the Greens seizing the throne, and telling that story from Alicent's team's perspective. Rhaenyra's team finding out and putting in place the engines of war, and then setting the dragons off and having this horrible thing happened over Storm's End. The story is called The Dance of Dragons. Sorry, The Dance of the Dragons. To kick off the war / end the first act of our story with the first dragons dancing seemed to be the right dramatic place to leave everybody off. In the book, Aemond means to kill Luke, so how do you decide to shift it to an accident instead? Historians have told us that Aemond intended to kill Luke, but I don't think any of them could purport to know what was going on in Aemond's head at the time, and I would also dispute the word accident a bit. I mean, Aemond got on his giant dragon and chased his nephew on his much smaller dragon through the clouds, screaming and yelling at him, incensing his dragon and starting a fight. He didn't know how Arrax or Luke were going to respond, and it ended in tragedy. I don't think that was what Aemond intended when he threw his leg over the saddle, but he did a horrible, dangerous thing. That is the point. This is a war of many cuts that lead to a really, really bloody wound. It adds complexity and nuance to the character that's potentially interesting. There's lots of runway to go on with Aemond as a character and the story of the dance. This is his first act as a dragon rider and a warrior, and it's gone very wrong. Now, what happens as a result, and how does he respond? Those are the questions I'm interested in as a dramatist. Along with Alicent's misunderstanding of Viserys' deathbed ranting about the prince who was promised, is that something that we should be expecting through the run of this show? Critical events unfolding as much by tragic happenstance as by clear intent. We're trying to make this as much like a real history as possible, and history is messy. The pieces for the Dance of the Dragons were put into place a long time ago. Whether or not Viserys has that conversation or doesn't with Alicent, very likely the next morning they're still having the same meeting. And I don't know that Alicent actually has the power at that point to put a stop to them. So it's more about how Alicent reacts to it. Her council obviously had this whole plan that they concocted without consulting her, to find Aegon and place him on the throne. So does history change if that conversation doesn't happen? Maybe things play out a little differently. I don't know. What we're fascinated with, What we're fascinated with on the meta-narrative level, I've got to move this down a little bit. I've got it too high up, There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Right, where were we? What we're fascinated with on a meta-narrative level with this story is showing how messy and unreliable history is. I mean, this is a book written by one author with an agenda trying to filter through the accounts of 3 other authors, all with their own agendas, and we're expected to take the one true history out of this book. Were we expected, to take the one true history out of this book? No, the thing that George is laughing at on the side is how anybody can read Fire and Blood and think that this is the one true official account of anything. It's an expression of this story. There are things that happen in it that are very well documented and are real, and there are other things where there are huge gaps and we don't quite know why this. There's a lot of mistakes, isn't there? No wonder I'm struggling reading this, and we don't know quite why this happened, or who this character was. Our story is trying to apply the whys and the nuances to it, so I think there are things that can be perceived as accidental, are not quite as intended in real history, and that will happen in the show. Crikey. And there's plenty of instances through season 1 where that thing happened exactly as was intended, and then you see the results. To go on a long time. Is it a big long interview? It is, isn't it? It's going on a long time, isn't it? I will skip through and find more interesting bits. In the book, Rhaenyra pushes for war, but she errs on the side of caution in the show. So why are they doing that? And he says Rhaenyra's very upset. She's so upset she has a miscarriage. Yeah, whatever. She's very angry, right? But she's not backing down and saying, I'm not going to stand up for my claim in any way whatsoever. But she is saying, I'm going to be cautious and practical about the next steps that I take. Basically, she's been like Viserys, isn't she? Her father. She's trying to follow on from his reign. I mean, he had a peaceful reign, didn't he, more or less? And she's trying to, keep that stability. But obviously, she's gonna not succeed in that. Why did you have Damon choke Rhaenyra? Right, it's a moment that I think is surprising and shocking for Damon as a character, but I also think it's one of those things that's been set up over the course of the entire season. Damon, while an incredible, charismatic, and deeply interesting, complex character, I think is also capable of great darkness. It's simmering just beneath the surface when he learns in that moment that Viserys never believed in him enough as his actual heir to the throne to pass this thing on that he clearly just easily passed on to Rhaenyra. It breaks him. He loved his brother so deeply and trusted him, even though all the problems that they had, and Viserys never shared it with him. He kept Daemon in the dark, and it just breaks Daemon. Instead of reacting with grief or sadness, you see out of him later, he reacts with rage, and he takes it out on Rhaenyra. All right, then, very good. So yeah, I thought he was venting basically. I thought because it's been an emotional day. He's lost a kid, I know she has as well, but he's lost a child through miscarriage. And it's all all building up, wars looming, and he's just, as it says here, it's under the surface, all his emotions, and he just lashed out, didn't he? I think that's what it is. But I was surprised when it happened. I was surprised he got her by the throat, as they say. But she stood up to him. She didn't. She showed her strength. Right, the dragon we see Daemon taming, who is that? Right, that is one of the unclaimed dragons that lives in the Dragon Mount. Vermithor, the Bronze Fury, King Jaehaerys' dragon, the king that we saw in the opening of the first episode, the king that passes on his succession to Viserys. So there we go, so it's Vermithor. I didn't know it was. I've heard other people say that they knew it was. I presume it's in the book. But, yeah, I've heard it's this is I don't know if he or she, I don't know, but the second largest of the dragons, the largest being Vhagar, and this one's the second largest and looks very old. The final shot is really stunning. Well, yeah, that's with Rhaenyra getting the news of Luke's death. How did they find out? Did they find bits of dragon on the beach, or did it washed up and bits of Luke? I don't know, but obviously they know. And was there a passage of time? How long had this gone? I don't know. And it was very well done, and a great ending to season 1. So anyway, so you can read that. The rest of that, it's there. Very interesting. About what will she, or should we expect to see Cregan Stark in season 2? And they don't know. I don't know. Will we? I can't answer that. Probably means yes. But there we go. And this interview has been edited and condensed. Holy hell. So I'm looking forward to season 2, and I hope they don't take 2 years like they said they're going to take with Rings of Power. I hope it's a bit quicker than that. I hope it's next year or early 2024 at the latest. But yeah, really enjoyed season 1. It was really, really good, and I'm looking forward to more. I hope they don't bugger it up, because they've done a good job with season 1. Right, let's move on to Doctor Who, shall we? I'm going to have to move that over now, aren't I? Tell you these websites. Right, Doctor Who, Tennant Specials and Season 14 now releasing on Disney+. Doctor Who's 60th anniversary specials are set to materialise on Disney Plus internationally, with future seasons releasing there and on the BBC. Got to watch it on the iPlayer here. Ooh, in the UK. I've got to admit, I've not been a fan of Doctor Who since about the middle of Peter Capaldi's run. I think it just went downhill drastically. It fell into the, people said the woke agenda. I don't like that word woke. It's a word that started out with a good connotation. It's been, twisted into something bad. But it went to, like everything pretty much has. All our franchises have gone down that path And it's not been good. I know some people like it because some people don't like to see it, do they? And they just ignore it for some reason. I don't know why. But like I say, I fell out with Doctor Who mid Peter Capaldi. The odd moments for Capaldi because he's a great actor where he rose above the material. But I started, I watched Jodie's first couple of episodes, but I didn't like him, so I haven't watched. And to be honest, I didn't watch this special that we're on Sunday night. Was it Sunday night? Yeah, it was Sunday night, wasn't it? I didn't watch that. To be honest, I forgot about it. And then I started watching it on the iPlayer, turned it off after 5 minutes. Not for me, didn't like it. Right. Doctor Who, the BBC's flagship science fiction TV show, is moving to Disney Plus in 2023. The world's longest-running sci-fi TV series, Doctor Who, stood at the centre of the BBC's recent centenary celebrations. Next year, we'll see the show celebrate another milestone. Oh, pardon me. So I had a Big Mac earlier on for tea. I think it's repeating on me. That's just an excuse. Its own 60th anniversary, with the return of past stars David Tennant, Catherine Tate in a series of specials. These will lead straight into a new series in which Sex Education's Ncuti Gatwa takes over as the 15th Doctor. Doctor Who is reinventing itself in 2023, with the BBC entering into a co-production deal with Bad Wolf, a production firm based in Wales that is now owned by Sony. This has seen the BBC surrender creative control on the show, with Bad Wolf taking charge of the creative direction and production. The BBC retain international sales, merchandise and other ancillary matters. In truth, such an agreement was essential to secure the show's future, because the BBC want Doctor Who to compete with the likes of Disney Plus's Marvel and Star Wars TV shows in scale and style. The days of rubber monsters and wobbling sets will be consigned to the past. Well, that special that I saw 5 minutes of on Sunday, the effects in that weren't great. I mean, better than we saw in the 70s, obviously, in the 80s. But anyway, there you go. There's a tweet there. Doctor Who's gone back to the old classic, Tom Baker era logo. They're trying to say something. In another major development, Deadline is now reporting that the new Doctor Who specials and seasons are actually moving to Disney Plus for international distribution. It is the best of both worlds, returning showrunner Russell T Davies observed. The vision and joy of the BBC and Disney Plus together, we can launch the TARDIS all around the planet, reaching a new generation of fans while keeping our traditional home firmly on the BBC. In the UK, what Disney Plus deal means for Doctor Who. Previous seasons of Doctor Who have been distributed on BBC America, and according to the BBC's last annual report, Doctor Who Flux was the network's biggest hit in the 2021 to 2022 financial year. Still, Doctor Who's move to Disney Plus, which has been rumoured since July, means the show is moving to one of the world's most successful and high-profile streaming services. Far from competing with the likes of the MCU and Star Wars, Doctor Who will stand alongside them. It's interesting to note that Deadline's report only discusses the 2023 specials and future seasons, but includes the new logo, one that deliberately evokes memories of the classic series. This perhaps hints the next era of Doctor Who will be rather more unified. In that case, it's possible the show's 60-year back catalogue will be moving to Disney Plus as well. It's certainly an exciting prospect. Well, I hope it'll move to bloody iPlayer, because has it already? I don't think so. It's certainly an exciting prospect to imagine that the existing episodes in one place, hopefully accompanied by spin-offs Torchwood, The Sarah Jane Adventures, and Class 2. Class, that's the one season, I think, isn't it? This would be the perfect way to celebrate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, and it would truly make Disney Plus the home of Doctor Who. Source Deadline. Well, what they need to do is just scrub that Timeless Child. Doctor Who's Timeless Child is officially dead, is it? Let's have a look. The Doctor Who community was rocked. Oh, where are you going? By Chris Chibnall's Timeless Child retcon, but the idea is officially dead after The Power of the Doctor, is it? I won't know because I didn't see it. This article contains spoilers, by the way. Do you care? I don't. The Timeless Child concept is officially dead after the Doctor Who centenary special, The Power of the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker's time as the 13th Doctor has come to an end, but she isn't the only one to be leaving after the Doctor Who centenary special. That was also the final episode created under controversial showrunner Chris Chibnall, an old-school Doctor Who fan. I mean, all he did was moan about it. Chibnall has been heavily criticised for a dependency on nostalgia and a tendency to place lore above character. What? That's the last thing he did. The Chibnall era is synonymous with its Timeless Child retcon, which perfectly illustrates the problem. Doctor Who Season 12 revealed that the Doctor is not a Time Lord at all. Rather, she is... It's not she, is she? The Timeless Child, a billion-year-old being who became the base genetic code for the entire Time Lord race. There's a strange sense in which the Timeless Child changes everything and nothing at the same time. It's a major adjust to the law. A bit dark there. I'll put my light up. Oh, I've turned my light off. Hang on. There we go. Oh. There we go. A bit of brightness. Sorry about that. A major adjustment to the law, but the episode in which the retcon took place went to great lengths to reassure viewers there would be no lasting character impact. Have you ever been limited by who you were before? Joe Martin's fugitive Doctor asked in a Matrix vision, reminding viewers the Doctor transcends her past. Now, though, after the Doctor Who centenary special, the Timeless Child is officially dead. Right, so let's see why. And is it true, or are they just, trying to placate fans? The Power of the Doctor is the final episode of the Whittaker era, and as such it features a lot of characters and ideas from the last few years. Surprisingly, though, it doesn't make any explicit reference to the Timeless Child. The concept is implicit. The Master is trying to steal the Doctor's body, likely to gain the Timeless Child's infinite regenerations, and he makes a throwaway reference to the Doctor's forgotten history. But these are subtle details, and they're likely to have slipped past most viewers. To be fair, Chibnall, he seems to have considered the Timeless Child story to be done with. Chibnall's goal was to restore a sense of mystery to the Doctor. As he explained in the... So you want to restore a sense of mystery by, retconning his backstory and completely explaining where he came from. As he explained in an interview in Doctor Who magazine number 577, the thing I wanted to dispel was this sense that there was a locked-in, fixed myth, that the only stuff that counts is what's been on screen so far. I wanted it to feel like the story could get much bigger than this. He's just waffling, isn't he? Oddly enough, that means Chibnall likely considers his mission to be accomplished simply from the introduction of the Timeless Child retcon. The last thing he'd want to do is build upon it by providing more concrete answers. That's just nonsense. Chibnall expects the Timeless Child twist to be ignored by returning showrunner Russell T Davies. It's one of the few drama series without a written Bible, and every era contains a contradiction or left turn from what has come before, he explained in one interview. Any future showrunner will ignore it or run with it. Oh, I fully expect Russell to ignore it. He's probably right. Davies is essentially relaunching Doctor Who in 2023, and he won't want to get bogged down with a continuity-heavy idea like the Timeless Child. Yeah, I think they should just do away with it. They should explain it away. Do an episode or just saying that it were all a lie by the Master and it's not true. The first Doctor was William Hartnell and everything else was just an illusion. That's what they should do. Right, Star Wars. Sorry, I got fed up. Doctor Who just doesn't interest me anymore. I don't care. Secret Star Wars film from the new Doctor Who. I'll happily watch the old stuff. Tom Baker, Peter Davison, all them. I'll watch those. Till the cows come home. And, even, David Tennant and his run and Matt Smith and all that. I'll watch those. Because they were entertaining. But the new stuff, nope. Right, Secret Star Wars film from Damon Lindelof, and Lucasfilm sets Ms. Marvel's Shameen Obeid Chinoy as director. Oh, here we go. Following months of speculation, Deadline is now hearing from several sources close to the project that not only is Damon Lindelof developing a new Star Wars film for Lucasfilm, but that Shamin Obaid-Chinoy, I apologise if I'm mispronouncing that, has been set as director. Lindelof is co-writing the project, though it is unknown at this time who his writing partner might be. I think we see this in another article. Insiders say the script is still being written, which means production is likely far out, if at all. Because they like announcing stuff, don't they? There's Kathy. That said, sources add it was important to Lucasfilm and Lindelof that a director be brought on so that person's own vision for where they see this story headed gets included in the script. Lucasfilm and reps for Obaid-Chinoy could not be reached for comment. As for what the film is actually focused on, this will remain under wraps as this project remains one of the more guarded secrets in all of Hollywood. So, yeah, so they don't know what it's about. But, answers have been, clues have been sneaking out about stuff. Right, here we go. This one. Disney threatens Star Wars boss to stop announcing multiple projects at once amidst Watchmen fame. Damon Lindelof helming movie set after sequel trilogy. Right, back in 2012, Disney bought the coveted Lucasfilm Studios for a whopping $4 billion. I won't call it whopping. I'd tell that was a bargain. And it was one of the most ambitious and exciting takeovers in entertainment history, making Disney the owner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well as the Star Wars franchise. With two of the biggest cinematic universes in existence, I'm just thinking that, what about Fox when Disney bought Fox? Anyway. With two of the biggest cinematic universes in existence under its watchful eye, Disney went on to make a huge bank from the subsequent releases. Star Wars The Skywalker Saga was the third instalment of the trilogies into the vast universe of a galaxy far, far away. Drinking game, I can't be bothered. And it more than paid off the investment that was put into the takeover. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. A new report reveals that higher-ups at Disney told Lucasfilm to stop announcing Star Wars projects and creatives involved. Lucasfilm has earned a bad reputation in these past recent years by hiring high-profile filmmakers onto Star Wars projects, only to have them fired or quit at various stages of production. Some of these notable identities were Colin Trevorrow, Josh Trank, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. This directly correlates to the execution and development of projects, sometimes even resulting in cancellations. And there's Taika Waititi. Remember, he's supposed to have a film in coming, but even he's not sure what's happening. Due to these past mishaps and alterations to high-profile projects by Lucasfilm, Disney seems to be worried that another such event might put a really bad PR rep on the company's name. So recently, when Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy was threatened by Disney's top executive team to stop announcements of upcoming projects, as things will remain uncertain until the project reaches near completion. Recently, Disney had to remove Star Wars Rogue Squadron from director Patty Jenkins off their release schedule. I nearly said schedule then, whatever. Due to creative differences between the director and Lucasfilm, despite Lucasfilm releasing a big announcement video of Patty Jenkins directing the movie for D23. With the big announcement of the upcoming project under the Star Wars moniker, it was revealed that Damon Lindelof of Watchmen, which lasted the whole season, and The Leftovers, which I've never heard of, Fame, and Shaman Obaid-Chinoy directing. It appears the studio is trying to find the right project to mark Star Wars' return to the big screen. Well, I won't give it to bloody Damon Lindelof. It'll just be all mystery box stuff again. Remember, he's a bad robot bloke, isn't he? He's the king of the mystery box, really, is Damon Lindelof. I bet J.J. Abrams learned everything he knows about mystery box from Damon Lindelof. Have you watched Prometheus? And everything is written. Oh, God. But seeing as nothing is set in stone and Lucasfilm's prior instances of scrapping entire projects from the board and disassociating from the team members, it's no wonder that Disney officials are being cautious of any further developments that might not even come into existence due to similar circumstances. As I said, don't forget, the shot, it's like most of the film, the solo film, before they took off, before they fired Phil Lord and Chris Miller, it was something like 80% and 90% shot. And then Kathleen Kennedy came along, didn't like what she was seeing, although I've heard it was down to, I forgot his name now, him that wrote it. Oh, God, super famous writer. Him, anyway. And then they reshot it, gave it to Ron Howard, and basically reshot the entire film. You know, it ended up costing us like $300 million. Obviously, it lost money. Solo lost money. I say Colin Trevorrow was supposed to be directing episode 9, wasn't he? 7, 8, 9, yeah, episode 9. But then, you know, after Rian Johnson was just allowed to do whatever he wanted. See, Kathleen Kennedy, she doesn't care about these films. She's like, everybody says, oh, she's a great producer and stuff, but she doesn't seem to care what's going on with these projects under her wing, so to speak. She just lets the directors just get on with it, and if they turn out crap at the end, then they've got to spend loads of money putting it right. Same happened with Rogue One, didn't it? I forgot the name of the director of that. Oh, God. Anyway, the director of that did Godzilla, didn't he? And Monsters. You know what I'm like with names. Anyway, he filmed that, and then obviously it wasn't good enough, so they brought in... I should have them all written down in front of me. The fellow that's doing Andor now, they brought him in, and they said something like 45% of the film were reshot, you know, in reshoots. And, you know, the ending drastically changed, the Vader scene added, you know, the hallway scene and all that. So anyway, but, yeah. I think they should just get rid of her, get somebody in who, you know, who is a good producer. People say, oh, Kathleen Kennedy's a good producer. No, she's just been associated with good films as a producer. She probably just went and got the coffees, maybe, you know, made a few phone calls. Here we go. New Star Wars movie may be set after Rise of Skywalker and feature familiar characters. New details have come to light about the Star Wars movie from Lost's Damon Lindelof and Oscar-winning director Shamin Obaid-Chinoy. Is she Oscar-winning? The film is yet to be officially announced, but the Hollywood Reporter has shed some light on the project, including who is writing it and what the story could be. Let's have a whiz down. It would not be. In terms of the story, the site sources said it may be set after the events of 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, but it would not be a continuation of the Skywalker saga. So Rey's not coming back then. The film might have some of the characters from the latest Star Wars trilogy that spanned The Force Awakens. The report did not say, and Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. The report did not say if any of the actors from those films will come back. I bet some of them do, because they haven't exactly been busy, have they? Particularly Daisy Ridley. I bet they do. I bet it gets rewritten multiple times, and they get at least one or two of them back. And I bet Daisy Ridley comes back, so it will be another Skywalker film, because she self-identifies as a Skywalker, doesn't she? She can just say, I'm Rey Skywalker. I think I'm going to be Steve Skywalker from now on. Right. Daily Star Trek news. Bit of Star Trek for you. Can you see that? Yeah. October 25th. Right. Almost 3 years to the day we told you about the announced efforts to build a statue of Captain Catherine Janeway in the town where she will be born on May 20th, 2336 in Bloomington, Indiana. That statue has since been completed, unveiled, and after pandemic-imposed delays, Kate Mulgrew has finally been able to pay Janeway a visit in person. That happened over the weekend, and there's a photo. There you go. And it says, future birthplace of Captain Catherine Janeway, Bloomington, Indiana, Earth, May 20th, 2336. And there's the lovely Kate Mulgrew. I don't know who that is. I presume she's somebody important. It might say, in that text that you can't read. How are you supposed to read that? Events compiler, Marina Kravchuk. There we go. Are you supposed to... Look. Oh, see, it won't go off now. Oh, never mind. Right. Oh, it's gone off now. Are you supposed to read that? Where are we? You can see video of the event on Facebook. Oh, there's a link there you can follow. During her remarks, Mulgrew pointed out how she's still so in touch with Janeway. Yeah, because she's playing her on lower decks, isn't she? As she approached Bloomington after driving from a family reunion in Iowa, she began to wonder which house Janeway will live in. Will it still be there in 200 years, 300 years, 250 years, let's go, 290 years? Looking at the statue, she noted how unflinching and proud Janeway is. I must admit, Janeway, in fact, is probably my favourite captain, to be honest. She didn't take any crap. She got her crew home. She was good. Later the same day, Mulgrew participated in a Q&A at another venue, which you can also watch on Facebook. She began by saying that she knew minimal information about Star Trek, not being a fan, but that over the 7 years of her life during which she portrayed the captain, Janeway became very important to her, so she grew to love Janeway deeply, and Janeway has never left her. Our own Marina Kravchuk was there as well and concluded, Kate is fantastic. Is that it? Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. Kate Mulgrew had much more to say about her journey with Captain Catherine Janeway, so follow those links to continue the voyage. I presume they mean these Facebook ones. So if you want to watch the videos and the Q&A and stuff, follow the links, and there you go. But anyway, she's got a statue in Bloomington. I think in, is it Riverside, Iowa? They've got something there about Captain Kirk or something, haven't they? And there's a town, isn't there, in Canada, I think, called Vulcan, where they've got a... Is it called Vulcan? I think it is. Where they've got a big Starship Enterprise statue, haven't they? Right, and finally, where are we? Right, Dune, the Sisterhood. This is old news. Look, it's from 10 days ago, 11 days ago. I'm late with this one. Dune, the Sisterhood, Game of Thrones and Obi-Wan star Indira Varma joins HBO Max and legendary prequel series as Empress Natalia. Game of Thrones, Obi-Wan and Carnival Row actress Indira Varma is the third actor to join anticipated prequel series Dune the Sisterhood, working title, from HBO Max and Legendary Television. Varma will play Empress Natalia, described to us as a formidable royal who united thousands of worlds in her marriage to Emperor Carino. So she joins the previously announced Emily Watson and Shirley Henderson. So I'm not really up on Dune lore. I read the first book. I've seen the films, but I don't know about the older lore. I've heard that name, Emperor Carino. But did Frank Herbert mean for him to be overshadowed by his wife? Because that's what's going to happen, isn't it? That's what's going to happen. Sisters uniting the galaxy. It's what they're going to be. It's good. It's going to be. Anyway, set 10,000 years before the ascension of Paul Atreides. So it's set now, is it? It must be, because it's 10,191, isn't it? The series will follow the Harkonnen sisters as they combat forces that threaten the future of humankind and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit. The drama is adapted from the novel Sisterhood of Dune, written by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. Diane Adamu-John serves as creator, writer, co-showrunner and executive producer. Blah, blah, blah. Names. Oh, that's it. Don't say anything about it. Just loads of names and their representation and no information. So that's coming anyway. So I hope it's okay, because I quite liked Denis Villeneuve's Dune. But, I really like David Lynch's Dune. It's a guilty pleasure. I really like that film. And I like it more than Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I do. I can't help it. Right, that's your news for tonight. I'm sorry I skimmed over some stuff, but, I just basically found it boring. And I couldn't be bothered. So there you go. Anyway, we'll see if there's any more news later on in the week. But barring that, what's next? We've got Andor tomorrow. Yep, so there'll be my Andor review tomorrow. There'll be a Friday night appointment with Thea on this Friday night. I'll be doing it this week. We're doing Insidious. I didn't do it last week. I wasn't feeling too great, so I thought rather than, do a shitty show. I'll just skip it. And then what? And then I think that's about it, innit? Oh, and then Saturday's my UFO show. Got some interesting UFO videos popped up today, so we'll have a look at those on Saturday. But until then, wherever you are in the universe, look after each other, and until next time, I'll say they. And by the way, don't forget, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Bye.